Hey, this is Uncle Craig from Two Old Guys. You know, a few weeks ago, wasn't really that long ago, my brother was telling me about this new game coming out called PAX DEI, how excited he was about it. I think I mentioned that in my other video. And I'd never seen him like that about a game. Usually it was me that got excited about him and drug he and Pop along with me. And so I took a look at the write ups about it and the reviews and the information they had. And I thought it looked promising, but possibly some issues. So I really wasn't too sure about it. Little by little, as I read up more on it and watched some videos, I started getting more and more interested. I kind of put in perspective what the game was really about, what the intent of the game was, and thought technically, as a software engineer, technically how they were probably solving some of the difficulties I'd seen for other games that seemed to try to be everything to everybody. Um, I thought, I need to give this game a really good shot. And then I was listening to and paying attention to the way that the development team was communicating with the gamers, the groups, and really started looking forward to it. And so I went and looked at the early access, and I saw the cost, like most of you did. And I noticed that it's a one-time payment for early access is the way it was communicated. Nothing more than that. Yeah, there's other information they were kind of giving, but to me, it was information that they were giving in a way that said, we really haven't figured those parts out yet. We don't need to till later on. So really, it just simply said it was just this much for early access to the game. So let's think of it in those terms. So I looked at it and said, okay, $40, $100, about $100 for access to the game that when you read the details said was going to be in early access a minimum of 1 year. That'd be $100. $100 divided by 12 months. That's less than $10 a month. And that was the maximum I was going to pay. So I had no problem with that whatsoever. They mentioned that they weren't sure how they were going to do the monetizing after that, but they weren't going to do anything subscription-based until after release. And I thought that was fair. That was a good deal. So I was pleased with that. Had no problem with that. Then I went and played on early release and faced all the things that everybody else did. When I went in and I got involved in the game, it fit us as the Two Old Guys perfectly. I can't tell you the number of sandbox games like Space Engineers, even Valheim, and some of the others, where you can, if you are of a mind to do it, you can quickly get to the end game capabilities. I can get to the best of the building materials. I can get to the best of the weapons. I can get the best of everything. And now I've achieved everything. And now let me go and just dominate the entire game now in that state. And we actually began to design and configure the games that we played on our dedicated servers in such a way to make it more difficult, to make it hard to just jump in and do that. Space Engineers is one example. We added a scarce resource mod to it and made it so they could only enter the galaxy or the solar system on Earth-like, and they had to really grind through and figure out mentally, how am I going to work this to get to where I want to? There was loss, and they just took that for granted. When you try to craft some things, you try to develop some things, you got to tear it down, you're going to lose your resources, you got to start over again. It just was part of the game, and they learned how to live with that and grind through it. And those who stayed were incredible builders and constructors and designers, developers, community people. We had a great time with it because of that. The people who wanted that fast win, they'd get on our server for a little while and not really like it, and they'd leave. And we were happy. Don't let the door hit you on the way out type of thing. We were polite with them while they're here, but we weren't sorry to see them go. Okay, so I was really pleased yesterday to realize I can't get to the good building material possibly for weeks. That's great. I'm fine with that. It gives you time to really develop and hone your skill. And it means that when you get on the server, if you see somebody or a community that has excelled, it's because they put in the number of people or the time and the focus and the attention to developing these skills they needed to get there. I'm glad for that. You're not going to get a whole bunch of people, a mix of people who have been there for a while and those who fast tracked it, and you don't know who's who. In this game, if somebody's reached that level, it's because they earned it. They deserved it. I like that feel to a game. So I enjoyed that. Now let's talk about the defects that they had that day. Now I'm a software engineer, so I was seeing some of these defects and I thought, oh man, this really we're gonna really know what this company's all about because of what they're facing. Because I saw the defects they had in really the core of their game. The things the login, that's one thing. The NPCs, that's another thing. But all of a sudden, you can't even build a storage container. That really stopped us too. We were going along, and I was submitting issues here and there. But when we couldn't even build a storage chest, I thought, let's see how the server's going to handle this. And you know what? It handled it fine. I could run around and I could do things, but I could not do anything that would cause me to gather resources because I didn't have anywhere to put them. So we did like most people, and we stopped playing for a little bit here and there, check back in sometimes. And then when I came back at one point and I noticed that some of the things I placed earlier all of a sudden were there magically, I realized what had happened, and I thought the way they handled it was brilliant. It's a queuing system that they have in the game, and that's an architectural decision to make a game like that. They used a queuing system for a lot of the very high speed even activities in the game that needed to be very responsive. And they were smart. They didn't shut everything down. They didn't try to get it all going in. They simply tried to address a couple of things, probably increased some throughput, and then just let the system catch up and do what it was designed to do, and it worked. I was really impressed. So yesterday, I was glad we had all those issues on launch of early access to see the worst that the game could give them to have to deal with, that we could give them to deal with, and they dealt with it. And I applaud them for that. Then I woke up this morning and I read the couple of posts that they put out, and I realized they did something yesterday that I don't know of many companies ever that do. They gave us an inside look at the challenges they were facing technically. And now the information they gave in those messages were detailed enough so that someone like myself knows the architecture of some of the aspects of their gaming. Who does that? I could tell what they were dealing with and how they were dealing with it now architecturally because of some of the information they gave. That is so honest. It's refreshing to have a company be that open and that available to the community to be able to say what they said in those messages and talk very frankly about it. They didn't take the blame where they don't need to. They didn't apologize patronizingly and say, oh yeah, we screwed up. They just simply said, hey, this is the things that happened and here's what we did to address it. And we hope you guys stick around and we enjoy having you as customers. They're great. I love it. So you're getting a lot of stuff out there on the internet right now that is a bunch of whiny people who make money stirring you up to feel negative about absolutely everything concerning the game and judging and criticizing the game for not being something it's not even supposed to be. And they're just, I'm sorry, they're making money off of you. They get you all stirred up and anxious. And who does it benefit? It benefits them. They get more likes, they get more views, and they get people thinking that way and feeling the same way. And you know what? Those same people are not. Shock me, guys, if you want, but I don't think even one of those people, when the pricing does come out, and it's not as bad as they're saying, when the servers hold up, when the game holds together, when it does gain popularity, I don't think any of those guys are going to do a video to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was an idiot. I don't think one of them will. And that's why I don't come out so harsh against anybody in any way, because there's always some aspect I don't know. I can't tell you what they're thinking. I can't tell you their motivation unless they just come out and say what it is. And I don't want to come back later and feel like I was an idiot because I said the things I did and it didn't turn out that way. So take what people say on the internet right now about this game with a grain of salt. Let's let them play out. if it turns out that way, I'll be the first to bail. If they turn out to where they're taking advantage of everybody and they're unfair and it's just a horrible experience, I'll be one of the first to bail. But let's give that a chance. Let's get some concrete examples of that happening, not anticipate based on games of the past what this game's going to be like or what the model's going to be like. So just take it with a grain of salt. I encourage you to enjoy the game. Take your shot at it. Take the lowest level if you want to of the early access. Just give it a chance. What's $40 for 1 year's worth of the game? You can play it, once a week, just one day a week, and still get your money's worth out of it. So anyway, that's my advice. Take it or leave it. Like the two old guys are, we just play games. We're hanging out in our backyard. If you want to join us and have a good time with us, great. If you don't, that's okay. The door's open. And either way. So anyway, I just thought I'd put my 2 cents worth in there. You probably won't hear me again reviewing a game or an experience like that because that's not my thing. But in this case, I just felt very compelled to put something out there in response to all of this naysaying and screaming and yelling and hype that I've been seeing out there. So hope to see you in the game. Have fun.